This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review with our second college football bowl preview video. In this video, we'll be previewing the games taking place between Monday, December the 19th and Thursday, December the 22nd. We're going to talk about 4 bowl games taking place during that time, and we're going to start with the Miami Beach Bowl on Monday, December 29th, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. At Marlins Park in Miami, we've got the Central Michigan Chippewas taking on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. And I think it's a situation here where you have Central Michigan. Expectations of competing in the MAC conference didn't live up to those expectations. I mean, they had that big shocking win in Stillwater against Oklahoma State, controversial win, maybe a win they shouldn't have had in the end, but nevertheless a win for Central Michigan. But after that, when they got into MAC conference play, boy, oh boy, was it a struggle for this team. They just couldn't keep that momentum going. They ended the season on a very, very rough stretch, going 1-4 straight up and against the spread in their last 5 games. Defensively was really where they had a tough time late in the season. You look at the point totals they allowed to Toledo, to Kent State, to Miami of O. All of those teams scoring 27 or more points against this Central Michigan defense. And right away, that's a concern from a fundamental matchup standpoint here in this game. How is that Central Michigan defense going to hold up here against Philip Montgomery, head coach Philip Montgomery, and that Baylor up-tempo type offense that he's brought here to Tulsa that absolutely piled up the yards, piled up the points all season long. Just an absolutely explosive offense here that Tulsa has. Senior quarterback Dane Evans had a very, very strong season for this football team. Just did a tremendous job. 2,000-yard rushers in the backfield for Tulsa in James Flanders and D'Angelo Brewer, who finished 1-2 in the AAC conference in running the football. This is just an explosive offense. 3,000-yard passer in Evans, the quarterback, and of course 1,000-yard receiver, the senior at wide receiver Kevin Lucas for this Tulsa offense. It's an explosive offense with plenty of weapons. Josh Atkinson, another weapon in that passing game at wide receiver as well. Tulsa's got so many weapons to throw at Central Michigan, and with the way the Chippewas really struggled defensively, has me concerned a little bit for whether or not they're going to be able to get many stops here in this game against Tulsa. I know they have extra time to prepare for this bowl game, practice, try to simulate this Tulsa offense in practice, but I just don't know how they're going to get stops here. On the other side, Cooper Rush in the Central Michigan offense is capable. I mean, Cooper Rush, solid season for him, 23 touchdown passes, nearly 3,300 yards through the air. Corey Willis, a great receiving target for him, 9 touchdowns this season. Devin Spalding, the leading rusher on this football team, and the running back spot. So they've got some offensive weapons themselves, and they're probably going to have to rely on their offense because, when you look at Central Michigan defensively down the stretch, they weren't stopping, mediocre MAC offenses. Now you're going up against this high-octane, explosive Tulsa offense, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle here for Central Michigan to get off the field in this game. I think motivation is going to be there for both teams. You get a trip to Miami, okay? You're talking about a team from Mount Pleasant, Michigan, a team from Tulsa, Oklahoma. You're going to welcome and just get excited and fired up for a chance to play a bowl game in Miami, a warm climate at this time of year. Get to spend some time at the beach. It's going to be a fun app. Both teams are probably going to be excited. I don't think motivation's an issue. I think both teams are going to be fired up to play. But from a matchup standpoint, really just am concerned with Central Michigan. It's a lot of points to lay with Tulsa, and it's not like Tulsa's defense was great down the stretch. Hell, what would look to be a dormant Cincinnati offense put up 37 points against Tulsa in the last game of the regular season. So that's a concern here if you're going to lay these points. Can Tulsa get enough stops? But if it's going to be a shootout, and I do think it is, I just think Central Michigan's not going to be able to keep up for a full 60 minutes here with this Tulsa offense. Lean to Tulsa minus the points, but I think the better bet in this game probably would be over the total. Obviously, the weather should be fine. We're talking about Miami. Unless there's some rain involved, weather should be good. Total 68, 68 and a half, 69 in that range right now. Might be a little bit low. I think we get plenty of points in this game. Would certainly look toward the over in the Miami Beach Bowl taking place on Monday. All right, Tuesday, December 20th. Next game, we've got Memphis, Western Kentucky, the Boca Raton Bowl. And it should be a game that's interesting to talk about from a pair of things. Obviously, we know Jeff Brom has left Western Kentucky. No longer the head coach there, moving on to Purdue, taking over the Boilermakers job. So definitely what happens now in the interim is going to be interesting here. Defensive coordinator Nick Holt is taking over the interim head coaching job for this bowl game for Western Kentucky. So how the players respond to that, again, this is very early. This game's taking place next week. So you're going to want to read up a little bit more on this, see what the quotes are. The players excited for this game. Are they down in the dumps maybe that Jeff Brom has left them? Because Jeff Brom is a guy that's done a lot for this program. But, that's definitely something you're going to want to do. Get inside the heads of some of these Hilltoppers players just to see how excited they are to play this bowl game, to keep practicing, to keep preparing, to keep, working toward this game in spite of losing Jeff Brom, who took the Purdue head coaching job. So that's something you're going to want to do. It's something I'm going to be looking to do prior to this bowl game. You want to know the motivation, especially in these interim coaching scenarios when the head coach goes on to another job before the bowl game arrives. It's very important to know just where these players lie and stand in terms of their motivation and excitement level to keep playing the bowl game even after the head coach has left. Memphis doesn't have that issue. Mike Norville, of course, the head coach, first year there, taken over from Justin Fuente, who moved on to Virginia Tech and, of course, did a great job with the Hokies there in year one. And Memphis took a little bit of a step back this year, 8-4 straight up this year, 5-7 against the spread. That's really where they took a step back. Not a very good team point spread-wise. They lose Paxton Lynch, great quarterback last year, of course, the head coach. And it's not like Riley Ferguson was a bad quarterback. He's a very good one. But I thought this Memphis defense was so poor this year. I mean, this is a Memphis defense that a lot of people thought would be just as good, if not better, than last year's Tigers defense. That just did not play out that way on the football field. You look at the Memphis defense. You look at some of these point totals they allowed. Navy put 42 on them. Tulsa put 59 on them. South Florida put 49 on them. Houston put 44 points up against them. Western Kentucky's offense is damn good. I mean, I know they've played a lot of bad defenses, a lot of mediocre Conference USA defenses this year, but I'm not sure Memphis is anything more than a mediocre defense this year, the way they have played. And Mike White and this up-tempo offense, obviously Brom's not there to call plays, but the system is still going to be the same, and I think it's going to be a struggle here for this Memphis defense in the end. This is another game where I'm not really interested in taking a side in this game. Western Kentucky, they've been a covering machine. I mean, they're 5-1 against the spread their last 6 games to finish the regular season, and this is a point spread range where I'm not looking to fade Western Kentucky in. I mean, laying just 5 points with their offense that can pile up points, you worry that can Memphis keep up with them for 60 minutes, even though Western Kentucky's own defense is a little bit suspect. That's the concern. I think the better bet, just like in the last game we talked about, is the over here in this game. It's a high number, 79.5, very, very high total. But hey, look at the total in Western Kentucky's Conference USA Championship game. It was right in this same range, 79. That ended up being a 58-44 football game. Flew over the total with room to spare. There's no way in hell I bet under in this game. Not even maybe. Over the total, high-scoring shootout we should have here in this one. All right, BYU, Wyoming. Next game on the docket. This is the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. I say poinsettia. I mean, I don't know where these people are that say poinsettia all the time, but I go poinsettia bowl, and that's what I'm going to go. With that. So BYU, Wyoming. Let's get on to the more important matters, not what the damn bowl is, how you pronounce it. BYU, interesting situation here for them. Obviously, it's a team that had a bit of a tough schedule at the beginning of the season, 8-4 straight up, 9-3 against the spread, taking on this Wyoming team. And obviously there's going to be a quarterback change here for BYU. We know Taysom Hill had to have surgery to repair a hyperextension in his left elbow. He's missing this bowl game because of that. His career is over now, and that means Tanner Mangum is taking over as the quarterback spot here for BYU in this game. The good news is he's got plenty of starting experience from last year, saw some time later in the season this year as well at the quarterback spot. 59% completions, not great by any stretch. But still, 23 touchdowns, 10 interceptions as a freshman last year when he stepped in for Taysom Hill. So he's a capable quarterback, and he's facing a Wyoming defense that, at times has been okay this year, but Mountain West teams really rolled up the yards, rolled up the points on them. despite the fact that Wyoming was able to get to the Mountain West championship game. That pretty much speaks to how bad the Mountain West was this year. And in general, BYU's laying 8.5, 9 in this game. It's a steep number. But like I said in the first video, I thought the Mountain West Conference was not any good this year. It was way down. Even the top teams in the Mountain West, San Diego State, Boise State, they weren't as good as they've been in the past. I just don't know if I'd trust Wyoming here. They're facing a BYU offensive line that's massive, and the Wyoming defense has really been pushed around in the trenches down the stretch. New Mexico rolled up a 56 spot on them. San Diego State controlled the line of scrimmage against them in the Mountain West championship game that the Wyoming Cowboys lost. So the line of scrimmage battle, the Wyoming defense, a little undersized against that BYU massive offensive front. Might just be one of those things where you just line them up, run the football if you're BYU with Jamal Williams, and just push Wyoming around at the point of attack. That's going to be the concern. And of course, if you're going to run the football a lot, the concern then, Jamal Williams probably going to get a lot of carries here for BYU. That always pays dividends in the second half. Wyoming could be sucking dirty pond water. They could be gassed. They just don't have any energy left in the tank to defend late in the game, and that's where BYU can turn a 3-point or a 6-point or a 7-point lead into a 10-point or a 14-point lead. So that's the concern here. BYU may be able to extend the margin late in this game by tiring out an undersized Wyoming defensive front. Wyoming's capable of putting up points. Their offense very good. Their quarterback had a very good season. Josh Allen, the sophomore, 26 touchdown passes. And the weakness for BYU's defense is their pass defense. It hasn't been great at times, and Josh Allen's good enough maybe to shred them a little bit. You worry about pace because Wyoming's not exactly a fast-paced offense. Neither is BYU. Certainly BYU isn't, but I think both teams can have some offensive success. Another game I'd lean over the total in. Not as strong on the over on this one, but a slight lean to that. And probably would only be able to look toward the BYU side in this game. I don't like laying 8.5, 9 often in these early bowl games, but I'm down on the Mountain West Conference and not looking to find reasons to back some of these Mountain West teams when I think the conference was down as a whole this season. So lean BYU, lean over. Colorado State, Idaho to wrap up this video. This is going to be the famous Idaho Potato Bowl taking place at the home stadium of the Boise State Broncos, the Blue Turf. Obviously, Colorado State is a team that's going to be very, very familiar with playing in this stadium. Of course, a Mountain West team, much like Boise. And that's another. And the funny thing is, I've got a dilemma on my hands here with this game because as much as I'm down on the Mountain West Conference looking to bet against them, I also made money with Colorado State late in the season when they went on their incredible surge, one of the hottest teams in the Mountain West. At the end of the season, Colorado State ended the season on a 4-1 straight up, 5-0 against the spread run. In fact, 6-0, 7-0 rather against the spread to end the season. Close loss to Boise, pummeled UNLV, pummeled Fresno, 3-point loss to Air Force, and then they beat New Mexico and San Diego State handily to end the regular season. Just on fire, really. Nick Stevens, since he took over the quarterback spot for this Colorado State team, since he returned from injury rather, he really saved the Colorado State season. Their offense took off, started piling up the points. But on the flip side, Idaho, what a job this year by this Idaho team. 8 wins for them, 8-4 straight up, 8-4 against the spread. Tremendous job by Idaho. A big-time season for them, 6-2 in conference play. We got to give them credit. This has been a moribund, pathetic program for years, and to see Idaho have the success that they did, really impressive. Good stuff to see. Matt Linehan, a very good quarterback for them, son of the Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator Scott Linehan, had a great season, and he's going to be a test here for this Colorado State defense here in this particular game. And as much as Colorado State was very good to me toward the end of the season, and I appreciate the tickets I was able to cash with Colorado State, I think they're overvalued. And like I say, I think the Mountain West a little bit overvalued. And with that, we're going to our play of, well, it's not going to be play of the day because we're talking about 4 bowl games from Monday, December 19 to Thursday, December 22. Let's call it play of the video. All right, play of the video for the Monday to Thursday cycle, December 19 to 22. It's going to be from this famous Idaho Potato Bowl. I am going to take the 13.5 points here with Idaho. Rotation number 220, Idaho plus 13.5. I think Idaho, to me, has the offense to get a backdoor score if they fall behind. You have to like the way they finished the season, very strong. Like I said, I think the Mountain West Conference, they had their struggles late in the season, and I think Idaho might be able to take advantage of some of those weaknesses of the Mountain West Conference. Colorado State ended the season great, but usually when you're on the roll that they are and you've got this little break between the end of the season, that hot streak, and this bowl game, it could throw off your rhythm a little bit. That's my concern here with Colorado State. So let's take Idaho plus 13.5, the Vandals, to hang around and make it a closer game than expected against Colorado State in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. That's your play of this video. All right, that'll wrap it up. That's my look at the college football bowl games from Monday, December 19 to Thursday, December 22. Be back later next week.
Go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.